We want to bring in Ron Hosko now. He's a former FBI assistant director and a CBSN security analyst. Ron, the president announcing that the suspect has died from his injuries. But as this investigation continues into motive, how important now, how valuable are these social media profiles and quite politically vocal postings of his?
Well, I think they're going to be very important. Of course, the FBI will be trying to understand what his friend network was and who he might have been communicating with in the last few days or over a longer period of time. Certainly the social media postings are a starting point, but typically, of course, the FBI will be almost certainly executing search warrants on any residents he's had contact with in recent days or weeks. On a vehicle that might be associated with him, trying to exploit any kind of media that he has, whether a thumb drive or a hard drive or an iPad, to see who he's been in touch with and see what the true inspiration was. From what I had seen before I came here today, just a political position or support for a particular candidate hardly seems enough to trigger something this violent and this thought out.
Now, the early information we have based on interviews with those who know him is that while he's from Illinois, folks near his home and on his street say they haven't seen him in months. Perhaps he has been in the Alexandria area for a few months, yet he was able to get his hands on not just a handgun, but an assault weapon. Just preliminarily, what does that tell you about his intentions, or at least how he was able to, how could he have attained those weapons? Well,
you know, lots of law-abiding Americans buy handguns and long guns every day in our country. And if you can pass the background check, I don't know of anything in this person's background as of right now that might be a disabler. But it is not hard, certainly in Virginia, to go buy a weapon, go through the background process and have that weapon in your hands very quickly within hours or certainly a day or two. So none of that is hard. Buying the ammunition for it is not hard. Those folks aren't doing a Q&A about what your intentions are. They're really looking backwards to understand if there's a prohibitor in your background, so you can't take that weapon. So not hard here in Virginia, not hard in America. I think the part of the questions that the FBI will be searching for right now is who else saw this person's path, heading in this direction, and was there an opportunity or multiple opportunities to take him off that path, to somehow interdict him and prevent this from happening. Also, as always the case in active shooters and terrorism incidents here, the FBI and certainly Capitol Police will be scrubbing their databases to see what contacts did we have? Did we know about this person? Were there previous communications that concerned us? Should we have had security on him in some way? Should we have been looking at charges against him for some prior act or communication? Or was there nothing? Did this guy pop up from nowhere and commit this horrible crime?
Now, if it was not for the fact that Steve Scalise was there, the third highest ranking Republican in Congress, the Special Capitol Police may not have been present, and I shudder to think of how many fatalities we may be discussing right now if it were not for that fact. Would you anticipate any changes in security for lawmakers moving forward in situations like this, where there are many of them in a very public setting?
Earl, 6 years ago when Gabby Giffords was shot, I was the agent in charge here in Washington, D.C., and we had many conversations with the sergeants at arms for the House and the Senate and with the Capitol Police, a very professionally run organization, they still are, about just that question and how in an environment where you have congressmen whose job depends on public contact, going out and pressing the flesh and engaging their constituency, how do you strike that balance? And really it comes back to, it did then, and I think it will now, being threat-driven, informed by the threat, informed by the conditions around you, because we're in no place to fund a protective bubble around 435 congressmen. So you know, it is trying to strike the right balance of engagement with the community, public appearances, access, and knowing what's out there, potentially lying in wait, and the difficulty of identifying that one person, a Jared Lochner in 6 years ago, or this person today. How do you pick that one person out and say that's who we have to, you know, be careful of and protect against?
All right, still very early stages of an incident that just took place about 7 hours ago. Our CBSN security analyst Ron Hosko giving us some insight from Washington. Ron, thank you.